Thank you, everyone. I'm a bit too tall for the stage, so if I'll be glaring a bit, that's because of the beamer. And if I'm standing in front, just wave me to the side. But welcome, everyone. Welcome for attending this session. And it's indeed about my dreams about Umbraco 8. Yes, this is a really clear light now. But we will manage. We're going to look in this session what the future is going to look like. I don't know, you don't know, but maybe we can start dreaming about it and thinking about what's next in Umbraco. And I started this session thinking, if I was the boss of Umbraco, what would I work on? What features would I create? So instead that the world looks like this, it would look like this. So for the next 45 minutes, I'm the boss of Umbraco, and I'm going to spread my ideas to you all, and hopefully it's a bit of inspiration. There's going to be no technical stuff, no code, no .NET Core stuff. Sorry. No front-end things. I'm not going to talk about security this time, and also I won't have a discussion about tabs or no tabs. I've put some notebooks on your seats because I have a lot of ideas about Umbraco, but it's not only about my ideas. I hope you can participate in this as well and write down ideas you're having right now or during the talk. I'm only giving some inspiration, and hopefully we can co-create even better ideas. So please take the notebooks and take a pen. You can also bring them to the Dream Corner later today or tomorrow or the day after, so we can make even better ideas. Well, this is me. Look, the same. I've been working with Umbraco since 4.0. I've been an MVP for 3 years now, and some people will know me as a security enthusiast, but mostly because I'm an Umbraco enthusiast. I work for a company in the Netherlands called Perplex. We do a lot of websites for our bigger clients. We've been a gold partner for quite a few years now. And we're an Umbraco version 5 certified company, so we're really proud on that. I don't know where we're heading. I'm not from HQ. I don't have a communication line with HQ or anything like that. If I email them with my ideas, they don't reply to me either. So it's all about my ideas. So let's get started. I'm going to start with some introduction, some background, by looking at where we're now. We had Umbraco 4. I started with Umbraco 4 and stuck around for 4 years or 5 years. And it was really good. I really got enthusiastic about Umbraco. Then we had version 6, sort of, maybe one in between, but and it stuck around for 4 years and was much better. After that came version 7. It was really excellent, and since this year we have Umbraco 8 as well. We don't know how long it's going to stick around. We don't know what the future will bring. We started building on Umbraco 8 for 3 months now, and it's really stable, it's really good. And hopefully everybody will start working on Umbraco 8 as well. But it's not finished, because it's not perfect. It will never be perfect, because then we and Umbraco as well would be out of jobs. And there's so much that can be done, and so little time to do it all. And this was a slide I prepared 3 months ago, and it was all fine up till today, when 2 persons were getting nightmares, I guess, from my session at this moment, and they knew I was going to say this, so they prepared a roadmap this morning. But let's pretend it was this morning. This was the last tweet of news about the roadmap, and you can see it up here. It was 2012. We hadn't had a roadmap for quite some time, but that's not bad. It was good, because then we can come up with our own ideas and think about where we're going. But we need a roadmap, because from our business perspective, I work for an agency, and I have to know where the future is going. I have to tell my clients, my employees or my colleagues want to know that, and we all want to know where we're heading. So we needed a roadmap. There wasn't a roadmap. Well, now we have a roadmap, but it's about my dreams today, so I'm going to create my own roadmap. And there's so much to do. If you look at GitHub, there are so many issues. You all got tons of ideas, and we don't have enough time to fix it all, so we have to make priorities. It's all about choices. It's thinking about who will make these choices, where they're based upon, etc. And just 3 slides of background, because there are different perspectives, of course, to all the problems and all things. Because there's always a discussion what should be in core, what should be in packages. Should these packages become open source, or is commercial also an option? And what is enterprise functionality? Is that something you should do in commercial packages, or is it something that should belong in core? So you have to think about these things when coming up with priorities and choices. And also, if you look to the stakeholders of Umbraco, there are quite a few. You have the CMS. And if you look at who the stakeholders are in this CMS, you have agencies like us, or developers. You have the end clients working with the CMS we've implemented, but you have also Umbraco itself. But if you look closer, within an agency, you have also different perspectives. Sales has a stake in it. They have to sell it to the client. You have project managers who have a relationship with their client, and they want something in every new version as well. And of course, we have developers, and they also want to be have new functionalities in new versions. And if you look at the end client, there are even more people involved. You want managers, and you have to want to tell to managers what's coming in the next version and what's important for them, but also marketers, content editors, and IT, of course. And even if you look to Umbraco, you see that there are different stakeholders, because you have HQ, but there's also a cloud product that should be managed in somehow. So different stakeholders, different perspectives. And also, you have to think about where are we heading. If you look at this pyramid, there are enterprise CMSs on top, and, well, other CMSs on the bottom. And the WordPress installation, for example, there are a lot of WordPress installations, and only a small of the other CMSs. But which way do you want to head? In my personal opinion, I would say Umbraco should move up this pyramid and go for some more enterprise functionality, so it becomes more relevant for enterprises. Not without losing the smaller websites, and be really good at that as well. But it is something you should think about when you're making choices. I've made these choices, and now we're going to step into my dreams. PowerPoint. Welcome. This is how my dream world looks like. I've been thinking about 5 versions, and I've all made a team for these versions, because sometimes you see a new version of Umbraco appearing, and there are a lot of issues within it, but the issues aren't really related. I thought if we would create a theme around the version, then we can tell a story to our clients and make sure everybody's heard. The first theme, or first version, is this is one of our clients. Not really, but in my dreams, clients look like this. And questions we get a lot are: images are hard, or crops are even harder. Where are my images used? Why are images different than video or audio? What will happen if I replace an image? And for our bigger clients, why can't I use a corporate media library, for example? So I came up with this session, the media overhaul version of Umbraco, where we put in all our thoughts about what we want about media and try to make it better. Because if you look to the different versions of Umbraco, you will see nothing really changed. They changed the zoom level a bit, but for the rest, nothing changed in the media section from an end client perspective. most heard of is my media library became a total mess. And in my opinion, there are differences between images. Not each image is the same as another. For example, if you look to this image, this is one of our office, and it was made by a professional photographer. This is something that should be in the media library. If I don't have any inspiration what kind of picture I would put into my blog post, I pick one of these or one of the others from a professional photographer that was put in the media library. So it's reusable on multiple areas. Maybe you want to reuse the picture, so you can put it in a media library. But if you look at this one, this is a graph I've used once in a blog post. I'm totally sure that I will never reuse this image again. So why do I have to put it in the media library? Because it becomes messy, and I know I'm not going to use the picture never again. So that picture is specific for a blog post. And this picture, we use it on a case story. And maybe we're never going to reuse it, but maybe we can, because it also is quite a good picture. So sometimes it depends. It's not black or white. Sometimes it's a choice. But that made me think about, why do we store all our images normally in the media library? In the current situation, you probably have an image picker. And if you pick an image, it opens up the media library. You have to search for the correct folder. You can upload an image into there, but it's the only choice you have. You could go for an alternative and place an image cropper directly on a document type. Then you can click to upload. You upload the thing, and there you have the image. But then it's not in the media library. And you always have to choose between those. What I was thinking about is, why not come up with a hybrid media picker, where you have the option, upload an image or pick it from the media library. So if you upload the image, you can upload it, and there it is. And you have the option to add it to the media library if you want to, if you think this is a good picture, or after a while you think, okay, I want to reuse the picture and then put it in the media library, instead of putting everything always in the media library. There it is. But of course, you could also directly pick it from the media library. Then it works just the same as before. And you can see the image. Maybe you have a title or alt text, because alt text is always used on a media, or an image on the media library. And you can directly edit it via infinite editing if you want. But some of our clients, we work for quite a big car brand, has already got really nice pictures of their vehicles, and it's already incorporated somewhere in the system. And the current workflow is they have to go to the system to find the correct image, download it on their computer, open up Umbraco, upload the image in there, and then pick it. But also other digital asset management systems like this exist, and the bigger clients can use that. So instead of only having a hybrid media picker, maybe also you could pick directly from an external media library, or maybe from a Dropbox folder, or for example for smaller clients, of even maybe of other Umbraco installations, because maybe you have several Umbraco installations for one client. What if they could share the media library and only have the media library in one website? So if you start up a new website, you can pick from the original website, where maybe are already a lot of good media items in it. Other thought that I was having during my dreams is, why are images treated differently? Because media right now is more than images alone. When they started the media section back in 2010 or something like that, an image was kind of a big thing, but now we have audio and video and stuff like that. And if you upload an image right now, you will get a nice preview. You can create a crop. It has a width and a height directly for you, stuff people want. But what happens if you upload an MP4 or video or an audio fragment, or maybe a PDF, although that's maybe a bit more complex, when it shows something like this? This is what our end clients want. they want to see the video and some specifics about the video as well. And for the audio, the same. Of course, we have this one, but we heard today in the roadmap that they're gonna work on that in the next phase. But we just want something like this. Where's my media used? If I replace it, which pages do I have to check? So I would suggest my first version that I've been dreaming about, the media overhaul. Next version. Hopefully. Yeah. Another one of our clients in my dreams, they were asking, is this site used by anyone? Sometimes I log also into Umbraco and I don't know if anything changed lately or in the last year or in the last 2 years. I don't know if anybody is using it anymore. But also people want to know how many forms has been filled in. Is my website performing better or worse? I've been away for 2 weeks. Did anything happen in the meantime before I start adding content myself? Which pages are not published yet, or I completely lost overview. So here it is, the next version, Umbraco Insights. If you look to a business pyramid, it could look like this. Here you have the X with the decision makers and the number of employees. And Umbraco now mostly focuses on the content editors. And I think we should get up this pyramid as well and go to the manager level and put some stuff in there that makes it attractive for managers, because they are mostly involved with budgets and stuff like that. So maybe we can treat them as well. If you now log into Umbraco, it looks probably something like this. If a manager logs into Umbraco, it will look something like this out of the box. Of course, the better, now some people implement their own dashboard, but most of the other Umbraco installations I've seen have this dashboard as a default. If you look really hard, you can find some numbers, and graphs is what people want to see, or managers want to see. So you know how active is your website. This is in the form section by default. If you go to the form section, you see a lot of numbers. They don't make any sense, because, for example, there's a number of entries, 78, but you don't know, is that the last week, last month, or what? But still, there are some numbers, and we have so much more data that we maybe can visualize out of the box. In 8.0, thanks to Warren Buckley, we had even a graph in Umbraco. The first graph out of the box in Umbraco. And it's really nice. You could put this in a PowerPoint and give to your manager, and the manager looks happy. Maybe. But that's stuff they want. Graphs. But sadly, also here is missing the context a bit, because 27 can be good if it was 1,000 yesterday, but it can also be really bad if it was 0 yesterday. So I think we should add a bit more context to it. First up is just ship Umbraco with a simple dashboard. I know there have been some packages around there, but we have a lot of data. Here you see when was which node published, by whom, and at what time. So you have a bit of an overview. Okay, is there recently been anything published, and by whom? You could also display how many pages or nodes are currently in Umbraco, and how many are saved but not published yet, because those are probably the ones you want to work on to get them published. But also, if you create a publish schedule and schedule your node to be published in a few more weeks or a few more months, you want an overview of it. And this is all basic, not basic stuff, but it's already in Umbraco. There's only is a bit of need to visualize it. So I would suggest visualizing this out of the box by Umbraco. But also graphs. Wouldn't it be cool if you log into your website and you see a dashboard with a graph? Here you see the newly created pages and filled out forms, for example. How many forms have been filled in lately? So you have some context about what happened lately. And wouldn't it be even cooler if you could select a period? from which time to which time you want to see it, for example, the last month, but wouldn't be even cooler if you could compare that period. All the data is already in the databases or in Umbraco itself. We only have a need to visualize it. But you could do that also for other sections, like the setting sections. What is the growth in this size, or decrease maybe, and how many errors did we have? So you have some context, is it better or worse than it was before? Also in the member section, you could, for example, have the number of registered users, newly registered users, or logged in users. This is all stuff that could come out of the box by Umbraco. And would be even cooler if it was extendable, so you could add your own data. You have this dashboard by default, but maybe you can add in your own data in a simply way. Here I've added chat conversations, for example, of email sent. If you could add your own data, it makes even more sense for a manager or a power user logging in. And of course, a real manager wants to turn this into value. So if you could assign value to forms, for example, a contact form is worth 10, but an order placement is worth 200. And if you could turn this graph into something with a euro sign somewhere, so it's nice for managers to have in their dashboard. So, second version, Umbraco Insights. Third version. You see more of our clients. They want to know, is this node published? They're going to work in teams. Is this page reviewed lately? If you work on your own, you probably know if the content's up to date. If you work in a large team with 10 or 15 persons, you don't know if anybody's working on it or what's happening. Or you're going on a holiday for a few weeks. Does anybody know what to do with this page? Do they have to finish it? Do they have to publish it? Or is it ready to be published? Can we work as a team in Umbraco? Does it support workflows? Stuff like that. So, next version, working in teams. This is the first one. If you look at these nodes, one of them is published. Can anybody tell me which one is published? No. If I add the tree, can maybe anyone see which one is published? If you have really good eyes and the beamer is good, that one is saved and that one is published. But it's not really obvious. So I would suggest making it more published. If you look to a save node, if there's a big bar in the top for a save node, it is completely clear. And if you also add it to your dashboard, for example, you have an overview of the saved nodes, because all the saved nodes you want to do something with, probably. You don't want a node to be in saved state for forever. Also, a deleted node. Which of these are deleted? Is deleted? You don't know. Only if you add the context of the content tree, you know which one is deleted. But sometimes on a smaller screen, you don't have the context of the tree because it's collapsed. So also add a bar there. Not for the published version, because that's the default status, in my opinion, of a node. But if there's something different, then normal. But would it also be great if you could see a published and a saved version aside each other, so you know what you're editing? Sometimes you have a node that's scheduled for publishing, and you have no idea of the context, what has changed between the last version and the version you're going to publish, because you're only seeing the latest version. If you could have something like this, it makes sense at that moment. But also, if you go to A/B testing, of course you have variant A and variant B next to each other. Another thing, if you're working as a group in the CMS, or even for yourself, and you can't remember what you've done on the page, maybe it would be really helpful if out of the box you have something to leave comments on. So you can talk to each other in the backend, and for example, create a content app or something like that in the right corner with comments. And if you click it, you toggle something where you can have a discussion with each other about in what state it is. Maybe you don't have to support workflow management at that stage, but this could be not a replacement for workflow, but a really quick win to have something in it. And it shouldn't be a content app like you used to now, that you replace the whole screen directly, with just something coming from the bar, where you can type some comments to each other, and maybe even reference some other Umbraco users directly by typing @ and then the username. Of course, you can have these comments on a dashboard as well, and then you can start working in teams. Another content app could be attention, just an attention flag. I need to do something with this, just flag it, it comes on a dashboard, and you can do stuff with it. So just something like this, and of course you need a dashboard, but then you know I have to do something with this node, because by default you can do anything with it. Of course, there he is, Mr. Nathan Wolf, created a great package for workflow management. That is fantastic, but I think if you want to be up in the pyramid of to enterprise CMSs, there should be some default settings to do workflow management. Not the really complex things, but just sending for publish and an acceptance and rejection flow would be something that some of our customers expect from a standard CMS or a CMS. If you make it more advanced, maybe even, if you look at a homepage, for example, if it's been stale for 2 years, nobody changed anything the last 2 years, that's maybe a bit weird. For a news article, for example, that's okay. If you don't change a news article after it has been published, or not being reviewed after it has been published, that's okay. But for content pages or landing page or home pages, maybe you should have a review or a review state. And it starts with the content owner, assigning a content owner to a node. Who's the owner of this? You can use it with groups or with users itself. But for example, this is the content owner of this node is the marketing department. So the marketing department will get a dashboard where they can see, okay, this is my ownership, and maybe you could add something like this, a revision period. Yeah, not standing in front of it. Where you can select every 90 days, this content needs to be reviewed and published again, so it's up to date, you know for sure, and this is the ownership of that person. And maybe it can be defaulted per doc type. So a homepage should be defaulted to 90 days, but you could overrule it. But when you create a new news item, there is no need to ever review it again. Well, of course, we all know this. I see a few nods. Everybody wants to know who's editing this node. Something that has been discussed for quite some years now. I think it's pretty easy to do, but I think it could be something that is distributed from out the core. So instead of no idea who's going to publish it last, because that one is the one saved, do something like this, not with my picture in it, but with the picture of the user. So, third version, working in teams. Fourth version, we're getting there. Another one of my clients. How does my saved version look? If you save it, how does it look in the front end? Of course, you have the preview. It used to be that preview wasn't always working. I heard they have a bug fix or fixes for 7.15, so 7.15, so it's gonna work. But this is a question we get a lot. Or I've made a spelling mistake. What is the easiest way to fix this in the front end? Or I've seen another CMS and it has inline editing. Can your system do that as well? Where can I change the content, and is this content still up to date? So in this version, I would like to dream about connecting the front end to the back end. And the back end, I mean the Umbraco login. For example, this is one of our websites we've made. And it's not about the website, but I've made a spelling mistake somewhere. And the URL is like this, it's 4 levels deep. what does this editor has to do? He has to go to Umbraco, he has to log in, and he has to traverse the whole tree until he gets to this this moment, or this page. And he has to make quite a few clicks and know the context. If he then sees another spelling mistake on another website, he has to go back to Umbraco again, find out where it is, and do that. Something we did is just create a small button that's only displayed if you're logged into Umbraco with edit this page. We know the page ID, so we can directly open it up in Umbraco, so it has some context when you're logged into Umbraco. But you could make that even more extreme. Yeah, I'm not standing. There's a show button. Look, there. And if you click it, it opens up an edit bar, for example, if you're logged into Umbraco. There it is. There you can edit the page, but you also see some metadata. When was this page created and by whom? So if you now start going through the website, you maybe have this page or this bar always open, so you see some context and you can directly edit it from there. And maybe it could be even extendable. So you can have content apps in the front end as well. So you can see the SEO data, for example, directly. Because it doesn't make sense to most editors if they don't see the context of the page, what SEO text they want to write. Or maybe show some analytics directly in there. And remember, this bar only pops up if you're logged into Umbraco, but that's connecting the front end with the back end a bit. Also previews of social share, or whatever you can come up with. So the editor has a different experience, and working from the front end, he's looking at a page and he thinks, okay, what can I what should I change on this page, and can directly open up Umbraco. But maybe you could also add a toggle, so you can switch between the published version and the saved version. Look, published and saved version. So it makes sense to the customer, to the end client, whether I'm looking to, what do I need to approve, and what are these different versions. And of course the next thing is that you could use it for A/B testing as well. You have the original or the version B. Just to see directly what are the changes. Of course you can do it in the back end, but if you can do it in the front end as well and it comes out of the box, that would be really cool. But also language invariance or segmentation, stuff like that. If you could toggle it in the front end, you can create a different experience for your customer. And if you look to this page, this is for developers maybe, but if you use Models Builder, this is a content.image or something like that, and over there's a content.title or content.intro or text, whatever. But what if Models Builder by default not renders that only if you're logged into Umbraco, but also comes with some styling, because we know the reference to which variable on the page there is, and maybe you can click that, and there's some CSS around it, and you open it up directly in the back office on the right height, so you know which variable to change. Then it would become interesting if you don't use tabs, but because you have to, you only have to go to the right height. So in that way, we don't get an inline editing experience like some other CMSs, but you're connecting the front end to the back end in a not too intrusive way. So, and finally, something I've been dreaming about quite a lot lately is a marketing suite for Umbraco. We have clients who ask us stuff like this: can I do A/B testing? Especially now Umbraco 8 came up. How can the marketing department be supported by Umbraco? Or I've seen a marketing suite, most of you will recognize this, of another CMS. Does Umbraco ship with something like this as well out of the box? How cool would it be if we would have an Umbraco marketing suite? So in my dreams, and if I was the boss of Umbraco, I would start building this. Probably Umbraco thinks differently about it, but we're still in my dreams for 10 more minutes, I guess. And in this marketing suite, we would have personalization out of the box, A/B testing. We would have profiles instead of members, because a profile is someone who doesn't yet registered in the website maybe, like you have with members. You can only use members if they're registered with a login name and a password, but we would have profiles. And you could create a customer 360 view. And it could look something like this. And if you look in the menu, you would have all this stuff out of the box: analytics, profiles, campaigns, marketing automation, stuff like that. And then you could create a customer profile, which looks really nice, but also really helpful for editors. And if you look better, you get a lot of graphs and statistics, personas, personalization, stuff like that. And you can see what the person did on the website, because some will say, oh, that is really privacy unfriendly, but I think it's really unfriendly if you treat a customer on your website like you haven't seen him before. If a normal visitor comes into a shop and looks at some part of the shop for a long time and comes back tomorrow, maybe you could ask him, hey, where have you been looking at, and can I help you maybe? So I don't think that's too intrusive. This is a marketing suite I've been dreaming about. So these were the 5 versions I've been dreaming about. I would love to hear what versions you've been dreaming about, but I've also had to make some choices because I couldn't do it all. So I also skipped some versions. And yeah, it's all about prioritization. So I've been thinking about this, but maybe that's not something we should do right now. It would not be the version that I would be working on directly if I was Umbraco, but still, you could create a security version. So version 8.x or Z is the security version, where we deeply improve the security. Or maybe an Umbraco Statistics module or version. This is a tweet that I think it was sent by Lee Keller about who's using what. Why don't we have something out of the box so it can be an inspiration for other people, for package makers and stuff like that, but also for HQ so they know which sections are being used or what kind of functionality is being used. It could look something like this. We're back to the default dashboard, but there's a top bar in that. And if you enlarge it, it would say, hey, Umbraco would like to have your permission to collect some basic statistics. Would you care? We send it to a centralized server, but we have the data, so we can do data analysis and we know which parts are being used or what kinds of things happen in your website. I wouldn't have a problem with this if Umbraco would ask that and would distribute it once in a while. And they can answer questions like these. And then you can make choices based upon data. Instead of removing tabs, for example. I said I wouldn't talk about it, but you shouldn't have too many data types on one document type, but then we have the statistics. Is it being used frequently that you have more than 20 properties on a data type or a document type or not? So we can make choices upon data. Umbraco AI, but that's just cool to put it in some marketing context, but it could be something, it's really AI-ish. Welcome back, Jeffrey, return where you left. It's not really AI, but we can sell it to our clients as AI or a version like this. But also if it knows what I do mostly. If I'm a content editor and mostly create news items, for example, why do I have to open up Umbraco, click to the news section every single time? Why not a direct button that is a bit intelligent and context aware and do stuff like this? Or Webmaster tooling. That could also be a version that you could create. Or give some love to forms. Forms is really good, but it needs some love. I think most of us agree upon that. And that could also be a version. Or even Umbraco Analytics. Who uses a cookie or ad blocker in their browser in this? I can see it a bit. I think it's 15 or 20%. Well, research shows it's about 30%. And if you look who is using Google Analytics to track their website behavior, that's probably a bit more. Yeah, it's 60 or 70%. But because you're using cookie blockers, you're probably not tracking the people who are, or you can track them with Google Analytics by default. Maybe Umbraco should also have an analytics module where they save what you're doing on a website or stuff like that. But that were just other versions I've been thinking about. But I've made some choices. Choices are hard. Hopefully you're going to share your choices with me as well, or your thoughts, and make other choices. But I came back to this. I was for 40 minutes the boss of Umbraco, and the world looked like this. I don't think this is a great world if it looked like this, but okay. And I would come up with these versions, not 8.1, because 8.1 is already scheduled, but yeah, some people maybe listened to me and knew that I was going to tell this, but in 8.2 I would give some love to the media section. And not only the things that were covered in the keynote maybe, but just give it a bit more love so we have an improved media section and go on with that. And also some other versions I would be working upon. So, if I was the boss of Umbraco, I would take a few months per release to make it really good, get feedback from the community via RFCs. I think that's a really good initiative, so we can all give our opinion on what should be developed. So if we create a media version, maybe we can all share our thoughts about the media version. And finally, to end it with some inspiration, because I work for Perplex, a big company, and I'm not doing this dreaming on my own. And a few of my colleagues had a dream about a new grid or a new landing page builder, and I would like to end with a small movie, if it's plays, just for some inspiration. Oh, it should start playing. Hopefully. And otherwise I just click here. Or do it like this. I know you're not gonna see anything. At one time. Ah, there it is. I should put some music on it, but it's all about creating a blog page, landing page builder, where you can add in headers, reuse the content like this. And once you publish it, you have a preview version in the backend as well, where you can directly see what you're editing and why you're editing it. And start adding new content blocks. And these content blocks can be aware, is the conversion element, or is the forms element, or how do they look like. And if you add them and enter text, you can directly see the preview on the right side being edited as well. So you're more context aware in the back office as well. That would be cool. And it's under development, but more about that dream at another time. That's it. Thank you for your attention. And maybe we have some time for your dreams as well. Or questions. Anybody? No? Then I would hope that you're... I can give Niels the word as well. We all have dreams. We all have our opinions on Umbraco. If we start sharing these opinions and co-create even better opinions or dreams, then that would be helpful for us all. So, thank you.